Hello, today I'm going to show you hard and so-called semi-flexible, but I will call them semi-hard constraints. So here, for this example, I have one project with two simple tasks connected together, and we finished to start relationship, as you can see in my Gantt chart, and task 1 has 2 days duration and task 2 3 days duration. Now, what can I do? Let's say that I don't want the task 2 to be started later than next Friday, which will be 13th of April. What can I do? I can double click here. I can go to Advanced, and I can set constraint type as start not later than. In my previous videos, I explained what is start not earlier than. Start not earlier than means that task cannot be started earlier, but can be started later. Here in my example, start not later than means when I set the date, which will be, I said next, as I said, next Wednesday here, task cannot be started later than the constraint date, but it can be started earlier. So here it is. I will click OK, and I will get a warning. So it will say, if it says you set a start not later than constraint on task 2, which I did. This could result in schedule conflict either now, which will be not, or later, which I'm going to show you, because the task says at least one task linked to it. And I can choose, do I want to cancel, so the constraint will not be set? Obviously not. Do I want to continue, but instead of start not later than, I automatically will be set start not earlier than, or I can continue and start not later than constraint will be set, which is exactly what I want. Okay, now, here you can see this in information column. When you had this, let's say, calendar with red mark on it, it means that you have hard constraint. So whenever you see on task information column this calendar icon with red mark here, you will be aware, you should be aware that you have a constraint set which is hard. So here it says that task cannot be started later than 13. Let me show you. Task 2 is supposed to start on Wednesday 6th. If I put a task duration 1 day, it will start on 6th and end on 6th. But let's say, if I say that task 1 is going to be 1 day duration, you will see that task will be started earlier, because I didn't set a constraint that task cannot be started earlier. Then I set start constraint start task cannot be started later than. So here, I will put here again 3 days. Now, back 3 days. Now 4 days. Okay, now here, 5 days. If I put here 5 days, task will start on Monday and finish on Friday, and task 2 will start on Monday. So far, so good. 6 days. Okay. Since task 1 has 6 days duration, it is supposed to start it on Monday and finish next Monday, and my task 2 will start on Tuesday. 7 days. Still good enough, because task will be started exactly, it was at the last day, it is supposed to start here, 13th of April. Now I will put 8 days. When I hit enter, obviously, my task 1 will be finished at Wednesday, 13th of April, and task 2 is supposed to start on Thursday, 14th of April, which is not permitted. And now I get a warning message. Warning message means that this action will cause schedule conflict. So if I put task 1 at 8 days, I can cancel or I can allow scheduling conflict. What does it mean? If I allow and I click on OK, you will see that task 1 will be finished at Thursday, but task 2 will still be started on Thursday. So I have scheduling conflict because task 2 is supposed, according to task relationship finish to start, to be started immediately after task 1 is finished, which is not in my case. Let me show you more briefly. I will put here 10 days. Now I'm not going to get a warning message again. So since I have task 1, which is supposed to have duration 10 days, it is going to be started at Monday, to be finished at Friday 15th of April. But since I set a constraint, which is task cannot be started later than, task will be started at 13th of Wednesday, no matter if my task 1, which is predecessor, will be started later than task 2 is supposed to be started. So be careful when you use this constraint. Next constraint is, I will now erase this task. I will say that task 1 is 2 days, task 2 once again is 3 days. And now I will say, let's say that task, let's say for example task 2 should not be finished later than next Friday, which is 15th of April. For that purpose, I will go back here and I will choose constraint which is start not, finish not later than 15th of April. And now I will get the same warning screen as I showed you in my previous example. So I will just hit continue. I want to set this relationship and this constraint. And now I can see that task is not supposed to finish later than 15th. Here, once again, if I hover mouse on information column, I will see the task has a finish not later than constraint, which is set on 15th of April. So, what if I put task 1 as 1 day duration? Task 2 will finish earlier, which is okay because the constraint is set it shouldn't be finished later than 15. So I can put here 2 days, 3 days, 5 days, still good enough because as long as task 2 is not finished later than 15. So 7 days, okay, it's 15, now we hit the limit, now let's say 10 days. Okay, and now I will get a warning message again that it is scheduling conflict. I will say continue and still I will, and again I will have a constraint which says that task 1 is supposed to finish on 15th of April, but since task 2 has a constraint that it couldn't be finished later than 15th, I will get the scheduling conflict and task 1 is going to be finished later than task 2 is supposed to be started. Okay, this is those two start not later than and finish not later than were, let's say, semi-flexible constraint. I will say semi-hard constraint. But now I will show you 2 more examples in which I will show you, let's suppose that task 3 is supposed to start exact on Monday 11th. So for that case, I will go to constraint type. I will say must start on, and I will say that it should start on 11th of April. Now I will get same warning screen and I will hit on continue. Okay, so in that case, this task is not supposed to be started not earlier, not later, but exact on 11th of April. Here it is, okay? This task must start on constraint on 11th of April. If my task 1 is going to have 1 day duration, it will have no effect on task 2 because it is supposed to start exact on 11th of April. So let's put 5 days here. So far, so good. Let me put 8 days. Now, again, warning message, and it will says that I will have it says that I have a scheduling conflict. I will allow, and you can see that task 2 is going to be task 1 is going to be finished later than task 2 is supposed to start. To be started. Why? Because I have a hard constraint that task 2 must start exact on the same date. So no matter if this task will have 1 day or 15 days, okay, once again scheduling conflict, task 2 is going to be started at certain date, exact date. And the last example here, once again, task 2, let's say 2 days, 3 days, once again. Let's say that this task 2 should be finished on Friday, which is 15th of April. So this task, I will set now constraint, which is must finished on. Must finished on means that this task 2, cannot be finished not earlier, not later, but on exact date, which is set here as a constraint date, 15th of April. Okay, once again, warning message. Okay, so you can see that task will be finished on Friday. If I put here 1 day duration for task 1, it will have no effect on task 2. What if I put, let's say, here that this task will have 1 day, 4 days duration, for example? Okay, it will be started earlier, but why? Because this finish date is, let's say, written in rock. This is constrained. So if I put here 5 days, it will affect on start date because finish date must not be moved, not earlier, not later. So, okay, what if I say here 3 days, nothing, 4 days, nothing, 5 days, nothing, 8 days or 6 days? Once again, scheduling conflict, and okay, this task will be finished as in my previous example at Monday, and the task 2 is going to start at the same day before the task 1 is finished. We have predecessor, which is one finish to start relationship, but it is not, let's say, followed. Why? Because I have a hard constraint. So if I put here 10 days, no matter if we have finished to start relationship, task 1 is going to be finished at 15, but task 2 is going to be started 5 days before Friday, because Friday is written on the stone. This is hard constraint, so if I put here 4 days, you will see that task will going to start later, but the finish date is not going to be moved. And be very careful when you apply those constraints, especially must finish on and must start on, which means that start date or finish date, depends on constraint, is written in the stone, and also with finish not later than and start not later than, because in that case finish date, the latest finished and start date is set as well. Now, in my next video, I'm going to show you how can you avoid using must finished on constraint, because a lot of people are using must finished on constraint as a deadline, which is bad practice. Until then, I wish you a pleasant day.